Hey,
Hello,
welcome to Tuesday Tea Time with Dorarena. And
Teresa.
yes,
We
we are here
yes, we
to,
are back.
yes, we're back. We're
Yeah.
back. So we're going to go ahead and we are from Women of Wisdom.
Yes.
We're a nonprofit organization here to bridge the generational gap between the younger and the older generation,
Yes.
and to empower with practical wisdom and confidence. So tonight, I hope that you have your beverages with you and that you fill your cup up with lots of wisdom tonight. So we're going to share our tea with you.
Yay!
Yay, I got my butterfly cup.
I also have a borrowed butterfly cup. You know what? If we do this again, I'm gonna bring my own cup so I can share my collection of cups
Oh,
for
that'd
tea
be
time.
nice.
But today I am drinking the sweet cinnamon spice tea.
Mhm.
Very good.
And I'm doing a different tea, which is called ginger moringa turmeric. Get that in the
There you
camera.
go.
Yes, there you go.
Very good.
Yay! So let's see how this tastes.
You haven't tasted it yet?
It's been a long time.
Okay, go
So
ahead. Let's
I am
see.
not sure. So
Everyone,
I
here we
have
go.
my honey in it. So tea time.
I knew that was gonna happen. I was like, I'm gonna watch. I'm watching.
Well, you know what? This is more like a
Wellness tea.
medicinal, yes, a
Yes.
wellness tea. And so, anything that is good for
Mm-hmm.
you don't
Well, maybe
always
take one more
taste good.
sip. Maybe
Yeah,
it's just
that's
maybe it just needs
okay.
one
Okay.
more. One more.
It's okay. It's
Okay.
doable. It's doable.
Well, that's good. That's
Because I
good.
will drink it again.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So you know that we started this mini series, I guess I could say,
Yeah.
last week. So our wisdom topic is
The garden of your heart.
yes, and Teresa is going to lead us through this study or lesson. And so, you know what? Use your ears
Yes.
and open up your heart and receive the wisdom so that you can apply the wisdom
Yes.
so you can walk in wisdom. All
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
All right.
Well, we're just going to recap from last week. And if you did not watch last week, I highly encourage you to go back and watch. But we're just going to boom, 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 just hit some points and then really get into the meat for today.
Mm-hmm.
But last week, our quote said, "The heart is like a garden. It can grow compassion or fear,
Mm-hmm.
resentment or love.
Mm-hmm.
What seeds will you plant there?" And one of the big things we talked about last week is that we are responsible for the seeds that are in our garden. Well,
Right.
we're responsible for overseeing our garden.
Yes.
We might not be responsible for the seeds that were explicitly planted, because some of those could be planted based on things that other people have done to us or things that we have experienced that were beyond our control.
Right.
But now that those things are planted and they
Mhm.
are growing, we have the ability to uproot things.
That's right.
Or to allow things
Or
to grow.
weed them out. Mhm.
Exactly. Or
Mhm.
allow them to grow. Another
Right.
point we talked about was, who are we letting in our garden? Because
Yes.
the people that come in, those are the people who we allow to plant seeds in our hearts.
Right.
And so we
Mhm.
want to make sure that we're vetting those people that are in our lives, even if they're close friends.
Yes.
We need to make sure, okay, what do you have in you? Because what seeds you have in you, you're going to plant in other people's
That's
lives.
right. That's
and
right.
we need to know, are you the offender?
Right.
Are you the one
Mhm.
planting devastating seeds in someone else's garden?
Mhm.
And if that is so, that's an indication that we need to assess our own hearts and see what's growing there. Because
Right.
usually that's where that comes from.
Or are we the perpetrator?
Right.
And we're just feeding the bad plants that have been planted by someone else because we have gotten so comfortable with where we are.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Another thing we talked about was watching for weeds.
Oh,
Because we
yes.
think about plants, we're like, oh, trees or flowers or vegetables and fruits.
And we talked about dandelions.
Yes.
How some people think that dandelions are flowers and they are weeds.
That's exactly
And so
right.
how some things we may think look good and people's intentions may be well, but how many know that good intentions can be carried out poorly?
Yes, that's perfectly spoken. Wisdom. Yeah. Yes.
Wisdom.
Right. Okay, just you high five
Yes.
on that. Boom. Another thing we talked about was self-partnering, and what that looks like is being able to look at yourself and say, okay, we're so quick to partner with other people, but
Yes.
we need to partner with ourselves and say, okay, I'm going to take care of what's going on inside of me. And it's looking at yourself, acknowledging the beautiful things that you've planted and created, but also acknowledging this part of the garden doesn't look so good, or I have weed vines growing up the side of this trellis over here. Let's address those things. Let's look at those things and see what we need to do to weed those out. And if you have a large garden, you can't weed everything out in a day.
That's true.
It takes time, and you need the right tools.
Right.
And you might not have them, but that's okay.
Yes.
That
we're going to help you with that tonight.
Yes.
And didn't we do a session at one of the WOW workshops called self-partnering?
Yes,
Were you the one that taught that? That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
It was
Self-partnering.
good too. Oh my goodness. Yes.
But it's so important because you have to live with yourself.
Oh.
And if you're not taking care of really what's going on in you, you're the one that has to live with it, and everyone else has to deal with the repercussions of what's going on in you. And when we look at ourselves, a lot of times we might use the phrase, I put it on the screen here, oh, that's just the way I am. Oh, man. Or, why are you being defensive? I'm not being defensive. That's just the way I am.
Right.
This is just how I act. This is just how I behave. A lot of times, that's the way that you've allowed yourself to be.
Or you became.
Yes.
That's behaviors that you became through others that have planted seeds into your life, because we are a product of our environment.
Yes, absolutely. And if you have things in you, we don't have to accept everything.
That's right.
If I'm being defensive, or if I have an aggressive nature and I'm like, oh, well, that's just the way I am. You don't have to be that way.
Right.
Things that have been planted in our path, things that have been planted in our life, some of those things need to be uprooted.
Yes.
Because that may be the way you are now, but you don't have to stay that way.
Yes.
If you desire change, you can have it.
Right. And you have to identify what those are. And you have to be willing to have an open heart and courage.
Yes.
Courage to say, oh, okay, yeah, this is, this is not who I am. This is who I became. And yes, this gotta go, this gotta go, that gotta go, this can stay.
Yes.
And remember, we didn't mention this last week, but off camera, me and Torisa, we was talking about how planting certain seeds in your garden, you have to plant them at a distance.
Yes.
Because if you plant tomatoes and peppers too close together, guess what? You're going to get hot tomatoes.
Hot house tomatoes. That's actually a thing. Yeah. Some things you don't want in the same vicinity as each other.
Right.
Absolutely. And it's good to recognize those things and see. And I like what you said about courage. There's really a humility there too, to look at yourself and say,
that's true.
There are parts of me and there are things in me that aren't the way that I would like them to be.
Yes.
And I'm going to lay my pride down and say, okay, I need help, or okay, I need to look at that, because that is causing, I'm seeing, and it's not just for you. That behavior is causing me to sting other people too.
Yes. Right.
And we have to look at that, because plants in our gardens can manifest as different behaviors.
That's true. Right.
And causes us to push people away.
My goodness.
Go ahead.
Yes. Because I grew up without a mom. I did not know every Mother's Day I had an attitude.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. And I didn't even realize it until my husband kind of pointed it out. But one thing that gave me away is when he came home, he gave me a card, had some money in it. I threw the card down and took the money. I said, I got a problem. I got a problem. But that was manifesting,
Yeah.
as a behavior problem because I had a chip on my shoulder. I was angry with my mom because I felt like she left me.
Yeah.
And so issues like that have been embedded,
Yeah.
and we have to have courage,
Yes,
to look at the reality of it and uproot them.
Yes. And I think part of that too, some of those things sometimes can be so deeply rooted that we need to find people that we can trust.
Yes.
That you can say, hey, I need you to come in here and help me pull this out.
Right.
Because you hold the shovel, I'll get
Right.
down and, let's pull this thing out,
That's right.
And bring someone in who has wisdom.
Yes.
Because some things you can't just muscle. You'll throw your back.
Right.
Someone who has wisdom and who can help you walk through that. Because we're not meant to do any of this alone anyway.
Yes, and vet them very well before you open up to someone. Don't just, off the back or off the cuff, just start sharing those deep issues. It's kind of like, when you're going through the transformation of the butterfly and you liquefy and you start rebuilding. Those are some of the most intimate moments in your life where you have to really be careful about who you allow to plant in, because that's going to grow.
Exactly. Especially in that time.
Yes.
That you're really in that transformation.
Yes.
So we're going to look at some of the seeds that we may find that have been planted in our hearts. And the first one we're going to address are seeds of hurt. Have you ever heard the phrase hurt people hurt people?
Yes.
It's like if you're hurt, you're wounded. You ever seen I've never seen a wounded lion, but I would imagine any sort of wounded animal, whether you're there to try to help them and take care of them, or you're there to hurt them, if you start walking towards it, it's going to go on the defense and try to protect itself.
Right, exactly.
Claws are out, growling, I'm scrapping. Wow. And you're like, I'm just here to help you. But it doesn't know better because it's hurt.
Right.
It's wounded. And so when there are seeds of hurt that have been planted in you, a lot of times that manifests as I'm defensive. I'm pushing people away. I don't want anyone near me because you've been hurt.
Right.
And that's it. And I'm not saying that those behaviors are not justified. Right. Because when you are hurt, we do behave that way. And and we're just trying to protect ourselves.
Right.
But seeds of hurt can grow into seeds of unforgiveness.
Right.
Bitterness, anger. And those things, those grow deep.
Yes. And a lot of people don't even realize that when we have seeds of anger and when it turns into bitterness, it's rotten to our bones. Ooh. And people don't even realize that because of such a in-depth hurt, that it's more than just it's more than just emotion. It affects you physically.
Yes. Yeah, even with unforgiveness, there's, they say it's like drinking poison, expecting it to hurt the other person.
Wow.
Drinking poison, expecting it to kill the other person. But that affects you. That affects the way that you interact with people around you. And when you invite someone in your garden and say, hey, I have unforgiveness towards this person right here, and I'm hurt. They did this to me. This happened. I'm having a hard time letting go.
Yes.
Admitting that, you yourself in that moment have just planted good seeds in your own
That's
body.
That's right.
By admitting that.
Yes, because as long as you keep things hidden, they could never be fixed.
Exactly. Yes. The second one we want to look at are seeds of worthlessness. I know I dealt with that for a long time, and a lot of it was self-image. And because I didn't like the way that I looked, because I didn't like the way that I was, I felt worthless.
Wow.
And that really affected the way that I was received love from people, received love from my dad, from my mom, from my friends, from people around me. Because everyone could tell me, oh, you're beautiful, you're this and you're that. But if I didn't believe it because those seeds were planted in me, then didn't, it didn't do anything for
help
me. No, it does not.
And, when you feel worthlessness, that's a confidence killer.
Yes.
And just, sometimes, I feel like we're talking to somebody. And sometimes you can feel almost paralyzed, by the hurt, and feeling worthlessness.
Yes.
And sometimes we tend to nurture, those things.
Wow.
And we can't get out of them because we're nurturing them.
Watering them.
And yes, that's right. And we have to recognize that is not normal.
Yes.
That is not normal. And at that point, I would suggest that you do talk to somebody.
Yes.
And if you have to go to a therapist or somebody, a counselor, to get through those issues, you do what you need to do so that you can know your worth.
Yes, absolutely.
And walk in confidence.
Yes, absolutely. And that, worthlessness, that shows you don't know where your worth lies.
Right.
And where it comes from. Because just by me saying about my image, I thought my worth lied in the way that I looked. But that could not be further from the truth. That's not where my worth lies at all. And so once coming to a place with people who could help me to realize that, I was like, oh, wow, that lie was just exposed. Yeah. And that root just came right up.
I'm glad you said that, because you know what? That is what it is. It's a lie.
Yes.
That we have embraced. And the truth is what's going to make you free. So you have to plant truth. And you may not even believe it when you first start receiving it, but just start speaking it and saying it anyway. And that's half the battle of getting out of it.
And when you start doing that, those roots begin to just weaken.
Yes.
And break off. When that lie is exposed, roots broken.
That's right.
And you can easily pull that thing right
That's
on up.
right. And when other people come around and try to plant those same type of seeds, you can identify, I know what that is and I know what that looks like. And you can say, I'm not receiving that.
Nope. Not at all.
I am not receiving that. Because, I went through the same thing, feeling worthless and, not valuing myself. And I went through the physical thinking, all this and that. And I went through my butterfly transformation. And I had to look at some hard issues about myself. What have I painted? What was the image that I created about myself? And just learning, oh, wait a minute, that is not who I am.
Exactly.
And some of the things that may seem kooky about me to other people, I embrace it because that is a part of who I am, and I like that part.
That's right.
So you gotta keep the parts that are good, that you like. All the other parts, trash it. Let it go.
Nope. Not even gonna stay.
Weed that thing up and let it die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. we'll just quickly hit on these last two.
Okay. Yes.
Seeds of loneliness. For myself as a single woman, that's something that I've had to reject many times from other people. Oh, you're alone. I'm like, well, I'm not. Or don't you feel lonely sometimes? I'm like, no, I don't feel. I do recognize that sometimes in my house I am by myself, but being lonely, that's different than being by yourself.
Right. Because you can be, I'm a married woman. You can be married and still feel alone.
Wow. Reject it.
Right.
We ain't gonna do that. Reject it.
Yep.
and seeds of abandonment. And
Mm.
that brings seeds of fear. And fear spreads is like that dandelion. That's that catches on everything, and that spreads like a wildfire. And fear will cripple you and lock you up from ever moving forward to do the things that you want to do in life, or the things that you feel that you're called to do in life. And so when we come back next week, we're going to talk about ways to go about uprooting these things. And so we want to give you practical solutions on how to go forth and weed out your garden and things like that.
Yes, so that you can live in confidence.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. And know your worth.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. So we want to say, mwah, we love you. And always remember to
walk in wisdom.
Have a great night.